Yeah, think we live in this bitch. I don't even think I gotta get up on this hoe and yell no shit, right? Good being back, man. Thank you for tuning in to No Flag Radio. I'm your host, P. Getting it in like a motherfucker. Today we talking about pro-black lobbyism plus ADOS hashtag plus tangibles 2020. Basically, what happens when we combine the political undergirding known as pro-black lobbyism with the political group identifier of hashtag ADOS with the political command of tangibles. What's happening now is we're now commanding tangibles from this white supremacist infrastructure. And to achieve that as an output for us, the concept has to assume a definite topology in our minds, right? And a definite formation in our minds before it assumes a formation in white supremacist society. On this channel, the route that I talk about to tangibles is pro-black banking, which will undergird our pro-black lobbyism, which will undergird our pro-black politicians who will then execute our agendas, execute our tangibles. That's the route, in my opinion, it's going to take for this shit to get off social media and move out of our heads into the physical world as a force, in my estimation. I did a lot of research on this topic, which is why it took a little while to get up. And a lot of the research, damn, I just scrapped it, you know what I mean, and saved it for later. That's how it is when you do research heavy type shit, you know what I mean? What else can be said about that? A lot of things gonna make the cutting floor, and just a lot of things you gotta do for time's sake. But I want to admit that I first was going to do a video about reparations, you know what I mean, and kind of let the tangibles conversation go for another video. I was just gonna look at all the banks, the insurance companies that old black people kind of finger wag them, saying we need to go after these companies, we need to run our accountants through there, and so forth and so on. Go after these entities, right? Then before I was finished with it, I was like, man, I started bringing up some things in my research that made me say, wait, hold up, wait. We've already done this shit. You know what I mean? Like, we've already done the song and dance of listing all the motherfucking bad guys, who profited from slavery, all the different celebrities, all the big wigs. We put Paula Dean on blast. We put Anderson Cooper on blast. We put motherfucking Obama's mama's side of his family on blast for owning slaves. We put the George H.W. Bush, they family, big slave owning family. We put the run of the mill white people who got trust funds set up off of slavery and got paid. And we did that deliberation in front of the world about reparations, right? And it didn't get us nowhere, right? But in my research on reparations, as far as societal precedents that have been set, whatever we bring this up, the light bulb went off in my head that showed me, the path to ADOS tangibles. It's a pathway that certain minds in new black media and black empowerment strategists have already carved out, but I don't think they even see it, or that American black people have put it together yet. Maybe it's because, I don't have a big platform, and the meeting of the minds, namely my mind, namely my mind with certain people hasn't happened yet. But I'm going to pose this conversation as far as that, as if the meeting of the minds is about to happen. How about that? You know what I'm saying? What I learned from my reparations research. So let me make sure I don't got no Strings hanging off my shit. Yeah. I clipped this shit up real nice. Your boy is clip tighten as fuck. You understand? But what I got out of my research is that I want to apply what I learned from that to ADOS tangibles, right? And what I came up with is that the problem was not what we're asking for with reparations, for example, in the past, right? But who we were asking and how we were asking them, right? Like we done the whole taking people to court, you know what I mean, shaming people in the media, etc. And we didn't get a motherfucking dime. We didn't get shit out of that. We didn't get a come up for the group cause, you know what I'm saying? And for our group experience in this country. So this video is made to introduce the Black community to an intersection of thoughts that I've seen on social media that are uniquely Black American. This is like a historic intersection of thought, in my opinion. Namely, between pro-Black lobbyism, courtesy of your boy P right here in front of you, you know what I'm saying? Courtesy of hashtag ADOS, courtesy of that man Antonio Moore, and tangibles 2020 and that type of shit, courtesy of that man Tariq Nasheed, right? That's straight like that. Pro-Black lobbyism, ADOS tangibles. I'm pointing out this triad of concepts for a couple of reasons. The first reason I'm pointing out is this triad primarily, at least for the people that's on my channel, I want the people that subscribe to me and tune in to me to at least be on a pathway when you get into where I'm at, when you tune into where I'm at, that we have a streamlined thought as a group around this public journey that we're making to get routine grab bags out of this society. Routine, not just one-off doodads here and there. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about round-the-clock, tender loving care for American Blacks. All right, the people who are out to replace white supremacy, the people that's out to not to have their struggle co-opted by Latinos and Indians and Asians who come over here shitting on Black people until it's time for them to use MLK name and some shit, right? The group of people that's not trying to be replaced by immigrant Blacks, right? Who don't even have an argument of wanting tangibles. Right? They don't want tangibles equal to their suffering here because they ain't suffered through nothing. They're not as targeted as we are, right? They didn't go through nothing as targeted as we did, right? So these routine grab bags is all gonna happen courtesy of the system that our bloodline has built and the system that our bloodline currently pays into, is my point. And the second reason I'm pointing this triad out is that when the wheels really get to rolling on this bitch, I don't want us to forget why we ventured to pursue these things as a group in the first place. What inspired us as a group to move like this? When the going get tough, I want us to always remember where certain landmarks in our group thought converged at, right? Gone are the days of taking America's Fortune 500 companies to court, the Fortune 100 companies, the businesses, the corporations to court for reparations and shit like that. Suing the bad guys one by one. Gone are the days of suing the banks one by one, suing the insurance companies one by one. Understand? Class action suit after class action suit. I mean, that shit is over for what we trying to get done. All right, it's a bigger plate we've chosen to eat off of at this point. And I kind of mentioned us going that route of courtroom and accountants and all of this, a couple videos back when I hinted to y'all that this particular video was in the making. And I actually had threw my hands up, y'all. I really did. I actually thought that I was done. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was done a couple of weeks ago, and I was just sitting on the video, just waiting on it to drop type shit. That was until, I'd like to check myself, and, I kind of outclassed myself straight up. That's when I outdid my own self, right? And really just started digging into how the ground looked like, and how much ground did we cover with that, as far as that approach, with this discourse of American blacks getting and American blacks receiving from this system that gives to every other motherfucking group over here over the past, the cases that I looked at, they span over about the past 20 years as far as our courtroom pursuits are concerned. And, and we'll just hone in on reparations for now, just to make my point. The picture as we know it, we know it's about tangibles, which reparations is a part of, and I'll explain that later. But as I researched the cases that went to court regarding monetary reparations, we're just talking monetary shit. The lessons that I learned from those cases is going to flow over into the conversation about tangibles, like I was saying. So just stay with me. So it's a flood of these cases nationwide about ADOS, monetary reparations. I mean, and looking at how these cases turned out showed me that we were on the right path as far as what we're talking about now, as far as what I'm talking about, what, a lot of the brothers in New Black Media, and we're kind of on the right path, I would say. It gave me confidence about pro-black lobbyism, about American DOS being a specific group-centered group mantra, about us pushing tangibles, right, to our politicians, right? And I stress the word politicians in this video. It's a really pointed reason why I do that. And all these reparations cases got took to court, and they all got dismissed in court. Why? Because every judge that I looked at said this: reparations is a political issue, not an issue for the motherfucking courts. It's not a judicial issue. Here's an example. In 2002, all the way through 2004, this case was fought. The U.S. District Judge Charles R. Norgal went up against our brother. He's a black lawyer. He's now a judge. I'm guessing he wasn't a judge back then. He's a lawyer now. He was a lawyer back then. I guess, how do you do that? How you be a lawyer and a judge? But I'm guessing he wasn't a lawyer back then, but he's a judge now. His name is Lionel Baptiste in Cook County in Chicago, good old Chicago. And he was the lawyer in a case of two black women who were suing Lehman Brothers brokerage firm. Y'all know Lehman Brothers, the history. They're a group of brothers, literally. They were in Alabama. They had these plantations running. And they said, man, we finna get paid off these plantations. They got paid like a motherfucker off the plantations and ran straight to Wall Street, ran right to New York and set up their shop bright and early in the slave game. They wasn't playing. All right. Once they got their money up off the plantations in the South, in Alabama, they ran to the East Coast. All right. So it was that they were suing Aetna Insurance. And a lot of these insurance companies, ledger for ledger, they got handwritten ledgers of our ancestors' name written throughout their ledgers. And Aetna has just been a big participator in that shit. A lot of other insurance companies, but they were suing them. And R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. Basically, they were suing because of the damage caused to their family via direct enslavement slave lineage. It was running a lineage case in the court, right? Check the chat. Nobody checked in. Good. It's all good. I ain't tripping. But they were running that in the court, right? But the U.S. District Judge, Charles R. Norgal, he said, let me get his exact words. He was like, long-standing doctrine in matters involving political questions, and I quote, bars the court from deciding the issue of slavery reparations, an issue that has been historically and constitutionally committed to the legislative and executive branches of our government, right? That was his quote. All right. peep his words. Notice he automatically pawned it off to a political question, and he put the onus on the executive and the legislative branches, and he threw them under the Constitution bus. You know what I mean? Like a Constitution say, y'all supposed to decide this motherfucking shit. Don't, all right, y'all get it? But okay, and y'all know he also threw our lightweight political weight as Black Americans under the bus, right? And one would think, you know, since judges are elected, then their obligation to politics has to have some sort of bearing on their decisions. But, you know, judges are indeed more inclined to judiciary Olympics when it comes to matters like this, right? And, you know, in my opinion, y'all know I always say judges are used to being approached in a certain way, in a way that they're familiar with. They're used to lobbyists. They're used to getting phone calls from interest groups. All right. They're used to motherfucking mobsters and motherfucking killers and whoever the fuck else getting on the phone, hollering at them, right? That's the game we're in, is what I'm saying. I just want y'all to gather that. But he denied the reparation claim. And most of these other cases that I came across showed the same, that judges don't hold jurisdiction. I got tongue tied there. They don't hold the motherfucking cases like this in their motherfucking hands. It's not their thing. And this is the setup. Basically, whenever Black folk come to court talking about reparations, all right, they're gonna scream executive and legislative issue, the ones that are nice like Norgal. I mean, he straight up told us what the fuck it is. That's what I'm saying. I ain't saying he's a nice guy, but he came and told us what the fuck it is for real, straight up out his mouth. Some cases just pull up bullshit out their ass and say, well, hey, slavery, it was a long time ago, and statute of limitations. You know what I'm saying? Another example I can give that speaks to this fight being an executive lobbyism fight, a legislative lobbyism fight, is a case back in August of 2004. Thousands of former Nazi concentration camp laborers were in the progress of getting some, like, their final payouts from a multi-billion-dollar German compensation fund after years of legal volleying back and forth in the court over their shit, right? So this wasn't tangibles per se in their case. This was just some pain and suffering type money, which is A-okay, right? Money is A-okay, right? But this was interesting because it did go to court. And look who put it in the judicial sphere. I want y'all to check this out. It wasn't a lawyer. Well, they were a lawyer, but they weren't a lawyer all the way. And they weren't a judge like our brother Lionel Baptiste. It wasn't him. It was a guy by the name of Stuart Eisenstadt, right? Stuart Eisenstadt, he's a lawyer who was Deputy Secretary of the Treasury in Bill Clinton's administration. All right. So if you know anything about his administration, you know that he was a figurehead, and he was a part of a special envoy for Holocaust-related issues. Y'all get it? Y'all get what I'm saying? Okay. They had a lawyer that was tied in with the executive branch of the government, and a part of a lobbyist group. Right? Y'all get me? Right? He was a part of a lobbyist group who lobbied just for Holocaust related issues. You see what I'm saying? So, of course, you know, the fact that he's white, a fucking white guy, I mean, that shit probably didn't hurt. But the logic is that this is something that can be pulled off, something that can be duplicated at the intersection of pro-Black lobbyism and ADOS tangibles. I pump up pro-Black banking and pro-Black lobbyism for politics because that's the only lane that we have not committed to as a group. That's the only thing that we haven't done as a group. And I think that's what's on our horizon. You know, with lobbyism, it takes the issue out of the courts where they can just say statute of limitations or couldn't prove malicious intent and all of that shit. There's a outfit called Lloyd's of London out there in the UK, and they stay getting tied up in reparations type litigation because hell, so much of their history is tied up in slavery over there, and all their cases they just keep running to all kind of they just throw it off the cuff like it ain't shit. They just spitting hot fire when it comes to just the judicial bullshit. They got case after case after case that just get dismissed because they can just say anything that they can run to in a judicial setting is up for grabs in those cases, and they get those cases thrown out. And they usually dismiss these cases with prejudice, which means that you can appeal. Even the ones out here in the US, they usually dismiss these cases with prejudice. It's like saying, all right, you can try again, is basically what that is. It's like, we know the issue of slavery. We know it's wrong, but you can try again. Like, they still baiting motherfuckers with that shit. Come on, man. No, that's not what we're doing. We're not going to try that again. And I'll repeat again, motherfucking Judge Charles Norgal, he said so himself, that this is an issue that the courts can't decide in America. At least he let us know, look, the courts can't fucking decide this shit. So it's specifically on the back of executive or legislative out here. But the summary of my research, to close my first point, the summary of my research is that I came to see that all of those cases got dismissed in the court for a set of reasons that simply proves my assertion. We need to go to the root of politics in order to execute our call for reparations and tangibles. You know what I'm saying? Fuck a judge. A judge is a part of that black and blue wall, goddamn it. That black and blue wall that I talked about on my Jason Van Dyke sentencing video a couple of weeks, maybe a few weeks back. Giving our list of tangibles to a fucking judge to the side in a white supremacist vacuum where we don't widespread have judges in our pocket, that's a waste of effort. You know what I'm saying? Especially when the judges are telling us this is an issue for the executive and the legislative branch. That's where this ADOS conversation picks up, and all other groups that's trying to be hanger-ons to American black experience, they gotta bow the fuck out, because they didn't do this kind of research about American DOS. They just want to dick ride a hashtag. I got another video on the Breakfast Club I'm finna do that kind of goes into that and looks at these, old media hats getting on our nuts about this shit, riding our nuts, copying our slang, you know what I'm saying, copying our dialect and our colloquialisms around this shit. I'm seeing all of this shit, right? You know what I'm saying? But at this point, this is where new black media, this is where we get busy. You know what I'm saying? This is where the work take off from. So all you motherfuckers that's trying to dick ride, if you ain't got this type of heft and history to your story behind our cause, then you probably wasn't even about our cause to begin with. But that's the first part of what this post is about. Don't want to diverge too much. Second part is look at a lot of these cases that I went through. These were from the first decade of the 21st century. So we're talking about 2002, 2004, 2005, some even up to 2008. Black folk was getting it in early in the new millennial for motherfucking reparations, and a piece of what we call them today grab bags on my channel, and tangibles and set asides. And we was getting it in. You know what I'm saying? I applaud my people for trying to get it in. Damn. Now we got nearly a decade worth of judges in the 21st century telling us that this is a political issue, and they kind of keep proving it. You understand? You might remember in 2008, goddamn, when all them brokerage firms and insurance companies was falling and motherfuckers was committing suicide, and the government ran to bail them out. You remember that? Who ran to bail them out? The motherfucking government. That was the Lehman Brothers. That was AIG. That was Washington Mutual. That was Wachovia, which is now taken over by Wells Fargo. All those businesses, by the way, who dealt in the buying and selling of our ancestors in the bulk of their portfolios. They had our family members' blood in their paperwork. Don't forget that. I always say that was a big karma event, in my opinion. But the executive and legislative branches and government ran to bail these motherfuckers out. They dropped $700 billion on them. Y'all remember? This was the too big to fail campaign that Obama was that he greenlit, and he didn't create the too big to fail thing. It was somebody in I guess like in the newspaper media writing sphere somewhere back in the early 80s, like early 80s. You know what I'm saying? And then it made it into Congress by some way. Somebody started talking about it in Congress, and then Obama brought it up on this shit, whatever. But you know, Obama greenlit that shit. He's the executive, right? And these exact entities, I will repeat again, the exact motherfuckers that enslaved, raped, murdered, tortured our ancestors and headed off white wealth calcification, racist grudges against black people that were suffering the most back then and are suffering still from that, from all of that shit in a big way today. You know, and like I said, all that shit sound like karma to me, but Obama proved that anything having to do with government intervention, which is what I want to get to, anything that has to do with government intervention when it comes to the needs of any side of an issue is a political issue, right? If the government's involved, yeah, that sounds like public, a political issue. Didn't no gavel have to get banged for that shit to happen, for that bailout to happen, right? That's why we got to get our game up. We got to take pro-black lobbyism seriously. We got to take pro-black banking seriously, or else shit, ADOS and tangibles, it's just another voice in the wind. It's just another request in the wind. Our tangibles is just another request in the wind, goddammit. You know what I'm saying? Like, Obama's motherfucking executive hand is what constructed an economic bailout for a group of the greatest economic beneficiaries of the enslavement of our people, melanated American descendants of slaves. His signature made that shit possible. So as far as us getting an executive hand in this, well, goddamn. Shit, Trump already said when he was asked about reparations for black people, he already said this some years ago. He was like, he was quick and to the point about it. He was like, man, why don't we just give it to them so they can quit whining about it? No bullshit. Surprisingly, that's what Donald motherfucking Trump said. Straight up. So, you know, now how genuine he was about it or whatever, or how much executive heft he was willing to put behind his words, well, we'll see what rolls out. But executively speaking, we already know what his words are, at least, right? And he's just going through some, he just want to get it over type shit. I mean, but it's not going to be that simple of a path for us. I mean, I don't think that that's what it is for us. We have to still give this traction, is what I'm saying, in my estimation. We also want set asides in our reparations detail. It's not just about money, which is my next point. And we can push for that shit on our motherfucking own without a damn president, without a judge. You know what I'm saying? We have to pursue this through legislative means, in my opinion, which happens via politics. You know, the judiciary side of ADOS reparations already showed us what they want to do. The black and blue walls, they see anything like reparations as an affront to their fucking fraternity. You know what I mean? Like, they're not budging. So we better get on with our black banks as storehouses of wealth to undergird our political aspirations. Lobbyists, they will come around when our money tells them what the fuck we want. You get what I'm saying? Politicians, they'll come the fuck around when our lobbyists tell them what the fuck we want. Right? And there you have it. American DOS reparations intangibles is on a platform politically. American DOS reparations is on a stage. Y'all get me? And, you know, y'all better believe that ADOS reparations and ADOS has a political. I just want to talk about ADOS as a political idea. Y'all got to know that shit has pulled the collar of politicians out there now. I mean, I want y'all to see this. They see the majority of melanated ADOS people, politicians. They see the majority of us, excluding the motherfucking coons, excluding the Negroes who just vote just because somebody black is running, excluding somebody who voting just because somebody's a Democrat, excluding motherfucking just voted for somebody because they smoke weed and dance to Cardi B, like motherfucking dope headed ass Kamala Harris with that punk ass laugh she got, her weak ass Kamala Harris, right? Excluding who else am I not including in this ADOS majority? Excluding the Caribbean blacks, excluding the Nigerian blacks, the Ghanaians, the second generation Euro blacks, the Kenyans, second generation, anybody that's an immigrant, whoever else, you know what I mean? Whoever else the white supremacist society trying to make the face of the American black experience around this bitch. Shit, straight up, which is blasphemous around this bitch. Let me just get that out. Let me get that nut off one more time on your face real quick. But excluding all those people, right? Because none of them matter in this conversation. Politicians see the majority of American blacks are willing to restrict our vote if our needs aren't explicitly addressed, planned out on a calendar, and followed up on during campaigning and a political tenure for a would-be political office, right? I don't want y'all to be asleep to that fact. That is the reach that ADOS has as an ideology. So before we really start flexing it, we got to come to terms with what power this shit holds. You know what I'm saying? So be it a mayor, be it an alderman, be it a governor, be it a president, be it a DA, be it a police chief, be it a judge, we're shouldering. I need black folks to look at it like this. Black people, we are shouldering all elected officials with having an ADOS agenda. You get it? I hope y'all align with that. I hope y'all didn't think this was just for the presidency. I mean, and no, we're not trying to put monetary reparations on the backs of all candidates for all public positions. It would be nice. But just to kind of give it some legs and see what kind of legs this shit could have, look at it like this. I'm not saying that they should not do it, but just to give it some legs like this. We want American black agenda represented in politics, like everybody else gets for their group by name, right? It's way past time for that. And the process, I think, would work best in a way where we like piecemeal our DOS tangibles into the political sphere. Like, not saying reparations should not be a part of everybody's, you know what I mean? Not saying monetary, you know what I mean? Not saying monetary shouldn't be a part of everybody's political agenda. I don't want y'all to get that confused. Like, yeah, give us that dodo, you know what I mean? And there's ways to come up out that, ways to get up out that dough, ways to make them come up out that dough and get up off that egg they sitting on, right? To give you an example of how the tangibles would look in a political sphere and how our program would flow with politicians, you know, one politician should run for land reparations on their ADOS constituency, right? For their ADOS constituency, like if they want to get into a position of a county, whatever, some sort of alderman position, yo, are you gonna? They're gonna run for land reparations as a part of their platform. I'm just giving an example. I mean, they might not be able to make no moves as an alderman, but I'm saying like a mayor, anybody like that, that could turn into real things, right? Goddamn, 50% of America's land is inhabited with people. Just about 50%, probably a little less than 50% of the land is inhabited with people. And out of that, what isn't used, a third of it is federally owned. So that makes 1/6 of the land should be up for grabs if it's not like farm or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Shit, another politician could run for, like in another state, completely another place, they could run for ADS on the census, which I talked about my last video, I think, and a few videos back. In another state, another city, the brother at Kingmaker TV, he did a video called Morris Reparations. If y'all want, I could do a video on my thoughts on the Moors. But he was kicking this about, full insurance coverages for ADOS constituencies, since insurance companies got rich off of enslaving our ancestors, right? They got a bag, and a politician could run on that. You know what I mean? And run on that to their black constituencies, right? Their ADOS constituencies. Another politician could run for us getting money out of the crime victim witness fund, being a witness to human trafficking. That's another one that came from Kingmaker TV. Brother was talking about that type of shit, like, because think about it. In the South, we experienced human trafficking. That's what the fuck this slavery shit was. And trauma has already been proven that it's epigenetic, it's transgenerational, it's passed down from generation to generation through the genes. Post-traumatic slavery syndrome is a real thing. Right? The grandchildren of motherfucking Holocaust survivors, they got some shit called survivor syndrome, right? They use that shit to tack on their list of tangibles around this month. So we shouldn't be ashamed to use that shit and to do it the way they doing it either. You understand? What was another good one? Us getting disability through the Americans with Disabilities Act. That could happen at a local level as well. There was a sister by the name of Camille, I believe. What was her name? See if I got her name. Her name was Kamani Paul Emile, a law professor from Fordham University. I don't know if she got a man or nothing, but come here, girl. I'm saying, come here, girl. I'm saying, let me holler at you. Let me holler at you. Let me holler at you. Let me holler at you, right? But yo, she put it down like that and explained, because black people in America who are descendants of slaves have a disability socially and economically, and even beyond socially and economically. There's just other things. And I kind of looked into her work. White supremacists, they try to go at her on all these little racist ass sites. They don't like her. So you know what it is. You know what I say on this channel. If white people don't like something, it's probably good for black people. In a white supremacist society, that's how the shit flow. I'm not making no apologies for that shit. Period. But yeah, so I saw that they going at her. They don't like her, but I like her though. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But that could be a great political running point. You get it? We can pepper our agendas, basically, is what I'm getting at, y'all. Candidate by candidate, election by election, city by city, county by county. And of course, in a position like the president. And I'll give some detail on that in another post. I think, what's the girl? The girl, Lovely Darkness. She brought up some good points in my last live that I did. My last live stream talking about electoral college. And I want to briefly bring that up and drop her some knowledge about that. But all in all, y'all, our goal should be to show ADOS has local applicability and that we can throw our weight around locally. You know what I'm saying? I think that is going to allow us to see the type of daylight we want. Enter pro ADOS banking, enter pro ADOS lobbyism, enter pro ADOS politics, right? So that's the game I'm giving up, y'all. Saying. Don't forget to check out my Teespring account. Share race first. Everybody does it. That's the move. Don't forget to go and cop that I don't like mayo t-shirt. Right. I'm gonna come on this live and wear one of these shirts, but like I said, I got some new shit coming that not even in the store yet, but when I pull it out, y'all, I don't want y'all to. I just want y'all to just cop that shit. Y'all got to. This is some shit that it's a movement. I'm working on some other things behind it. Might even give it its own website. It's that kind of thing. So I've been working on it. But like I said, I'm gonna have to go and wear one of these, shit from the store on the live stream, just so y'all can see how fly this shit is. Just so y'all can feel me, B. You feeling me? And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. So you know when I'm dropping. Get it, y'all.